All right, it's the 13th of May, and it's a Tuesday. We've got about 30 minutes to the NY Open. We'll go to the charts in a few seconds. Just a second. Okay, let's start with the calendar. Let me know if the audio is clear, if there is any echo or not. Just let me know in the chat. I did switch off one of the channels, audio channels, so just want to know. I think there was an echo yesterday when I listened to the recording on YouTube, the stream. I did hear an echo. Okay, perfect. Thanks, Philip. Perfect. Yeah, because I switched off one of the audio channels. I think it's better with just one channel. All right, so let's start with the calendar. Today is CPI, right? That's a big one. Now, usually it's a big one. Usually the two big ones for the month is NFP and CPI. But because we've had low volume in the first 2 hours of the NY Open, we might not have anything in CPI, right? I've seen periods like this where when volume shifts, right? So like I said, I've been saying previously, and like I said yesterday, we have to wait for 2 consecutive days of volume to show up within the first 2 hours of the NY Open, right? So which means you want to see very large 15-minute candles, 85 pips, 90 pips, 100 pips, a lot of volume, even 30-minute candles that are 80, 90 pips, and 2 consecutive days of that to know that volumes come back into the NY Open, the first 2 hours of the NY Open. We're having volume, but it's post NY Open. It's after the NYSE Open towards the London close, right? I think we had volume yesterday, a very little volume yesterday towards the London close. We're going to take a look at. I did take a trade. I did give out a setup, a sell idea, and also a buy idea. And I think the sell idea is the one that worked out. That's a trade, at least that I took. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that later, right? We'll start with the analysis first. All right. So price is still hovering around 3250. Now the daily candle closed below 3250, right? Now here too, the daily candle closed below 3250, and the next candle was a doji, and then we pushed about 2000 pips to the upside, right? Now a similar thing can always happen. There is no certainties. We can push through, or we can have something like this, a kind of a doji form today, and then start to push back up, right? That's possible. That could be a possibility. The other scenario is that we go through now, or we start to push up. Now we have to depend on the lower time frames to tell us which of those scenarios are more likely to happen, right? So if you just go to the 4-hour time frame and we look at it, we're seeing something a little different to what we had previously on the 1st of May. When price got here on the 1st of May, we had a clear rejection, just like we have here, and then we started to push up close above 3230, and we headed all the way up. We have something similar, very similar, right? We've just probably spent maybe 2 hours more, 3 hours more here, right? But we are still very similar to this. We're pushing back up. Now, the question is, what is news going to do? Is it going to bring price back down here, and we're going to stay here, or we're going to come down, grab liquidity, and push up something, something similar to this? We come down, grab liquidity again from 3230, and push back up, right? So it's hard to say. It's hard to make a plan if there is no volume, right? No matter what plan we have, if there is no volume, price is not going to move, right? And that's what's been happening over the last few weeks. Now, I usually For NFP and CPI, I look at the 5-minute time frame to take a trade. I may not do that today just because there is no volume in the market, right? Just because I haven't seen volume in the first 2 hours of the NY Open, right? So I might lean back on the 15-minute time frame or 30-minute time frame and may not have a look at the and may not look at the 5-minute support or resistance, but we'll see. We'll do the analysis. I don't want to get ahead of myself. We'll do the analysis and see what price is setting up for. Okay. So again, the daily time frame, we're very bearish. Weekly also, we are pushing down. We have a weak bull bull candle close, right? Because that's a big top wick from 3430 and 3400. That's a huge top wick. So it's a weak bull candle, right? So on the weekly also we still are pushing down. On the daily we're definitely pushing down. On the 4 hour we're ranging. That's a massive range. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. So about 20 hours, about almost 20 hours, 18 to 20 hours of price ranging. If you look at the 1 hour, look at that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So that's 19 hours prices just ranged there, right? Could it push back down, grab liquidity, head up? That's possible. Or could it grab liquidity from around 3265 or higher and push right through this zone? That's possible too. It all depends if there's going to be, if all depends on volume. If there's going to be volume in the market today in the first 2 hours of the NY session or not. Let's go to our trading chart. Okay, I will. Let's do a quick recap of the trade idea that I shared yesterday and the trade that I took. So, price, I said, wait for 30-minute resistance to form. If you're taking a sell, wait for price to come up to, there's a, what was that, 3250 psychological round number, or the EMAs, or even further up. Price didn't come to the EMAs. It came very close to 3250, right? 3248, I think 3247.8 or 3248. No, 32, almost 3249, right? About 10 pips away. Yeah, about 11 pips away from the psychological round number, the BR in the big round number, right? And then rejected that area, formed 30-minute resistance, clear 30-minute resistance, and a clear 30-minute tradable back candle close. Perfect candle, right? 30-minute candle close, right? This one right here. That's a 30-minute resistance form and a tradable 30-minute back candle close, right? So once this candle closed at 1800 hours IC market server time. That's when this candle opened. If you go down to the 15-minute time frame, and this is the candle close, this one right here. This is the new candle open, right? So if you look back from the 15-minute time frame and you draw the fib, you have to look at the previous two, the most recent two M15 high breaks. This one broke this side, this one broke this side. So from the most recent low to the highest high in that range would be this, and price came perfectly came very close to the optimal 3243.98. That's where I think I entered in the trade somewhere here, because this is also a 15-minute supply zone, a rally-based drop. Entered here, and we pushed. I got out, I think, somewhere around here. I think I took partial positions here and then got out at 3230, because that's the next liquidity area. Price moves from liquidity to liquidity, right? So we came very close to 3250, which is a liquidity area, right? These are the liquidity areas. It came to a liquidity area, formed 30-minute resistance. We have a pullback, took the trade, came to 3230, then we came a little lower, and then price just ranged after that. Okay, so that was a trade, and it did work out. So I'm going to get rid of all of this, and we're going to start this process again. All right, yeah, we just ranged between these two zones basically. We've just ranged. Nothing's happened. Two three zero 265 289. All right, let's go to the 4-hour chart. Okay, so that zone's still valid. We have new demand here, right? Okay, let's start with demand. We have a lot of time. There's no need to rush. We've got news at 8:30 a.m. EST. The NY Open is at 8 a.m. EST, so it makes no sense to take a trade at 8 a.m. EST or to look for a setup at 8 a.m. EST when you have a big news event 30 minutes after the NY Open. So we're going to wait for the NY. We're going to wait for the news event. We're going to wait for 8:30 a.m. EST to look for a setup, right? And I'll decide once we've done our analysis, and maybe 5 to 10 minutes before the news, I'll just see if I'm going to be looking at the 5-minute chart or the 15-minute chart, right? And the only reason for that is because there's just no volume in the first hour and a half or 2 hours of the NY Open. All right, so we have a rally, we have 3 base-in candles and a rally, right? So let's start with that. Okay, let's put the numbers. Okay, let's take a look at that on the 1 hour as well, because we've crossed a weekly support resistance level. Extend this here. Yeah, rally. All of these are base-in candles. This is that range that we counted. So many candles in a range. And 059, 182. 590. Let's take a look at it on the 30-minute as well. Yeah, I think we're good on the 1 hour. Okay, I'm going to extend this to the right. These zones were drawn last week. You can see a perfect tap of this liquidity candle, right, that we drew. Look at that. Okay. These zones are all valid because price has just touched it. We haven't gone through them, so they're all valid, and so are the liquidity candles. Now, I say this over and over again, whenever there are liquidity candles stacked one on top of the other, remember that price has tapped them on the way up, right? So if you go to the left, I've shown many examples. If there is time, I'll show these zones today. But price has tapped them on the way up. So when price comes down, if there's a lot of volume, it'll go. If it goes through one, it's going to go through, very likely go through the other one as well. Yeah, it's about 700 pips to the downside. That's, I think, should be good enough. Maybe we extend this as well, just like yesterday. This is exactly what we did yesterday. Price hasn't moved much, so we can just extend these zones to the right. Yeah, and that's good enough. Yeah, that's 900 pips down, so that's good enough. Perfect, right? We've just moved about 496 pips, almost 500 pips today. Okay. Just give me a second. I'll be back in a couple of minutes. Give me a second. All right. So, yeah, on the 4 hour, we don't have any supply formed here. Yeah, that's not supply. This is supply, right? We should go through this pretty easily if prices to go up. That's the that's the zone. This is the area of liquidity. So I'm going to just extend these to the right. These are zones that we drew yesterday, the first 30 minutes of the NY Open. Okay, I think that's it. That's good enough. We've covered about 1,000 pips to the upside and 1,000 pips to the downside. That's plenty, right? Now keep in mind there's a gap here, and price hasn't filled that gap yet. It dropped and continued to drop. Could fill that gap today. Very possible. It's not a certainty, but it's a possibility, right? We are rejecting this area. We formed for our support a couple of, 3 times in fact, once, twice, 3 times, right? We could push up, we could come down, grab liquidity and continue higher. We spoke about this at the beginning, right? Price came down, formed a doji and pushed straight up. If you look at the 4 hour, price came down, tapped that area, the zone, rejected twice. Exactly same things happen here. We rejected once, we pushed twice, right? And we're trying to push up. So we could come up, we could come down, grab liquidity and continue higher to fill this gap. That's a possibility. All depends if there is volume, right? And the second scenario is price can come back down here, and since this area has been tested so many times on the 4 hour time frame, that's the source. That's once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, then comes a 5th time we could go through, right? This is the source, this is the origin of the move, right? Once, you could even, yeah, I would say this is once because this is the push up. We came down here, then twice, pushed up, came again, third time, fourth time. This is fourth because this is the push now, has happened now. If we come a fifth time, we could go through, right? Or we can grab liquid and go high. We'll have to wait for the lower time frame confirmations to see what's going to happen. And that would happen only if there is volume in the first 2 hours of the NY Open. All right. Okay. So the only new zone that we have is this 4-hour zone, right? This is a new 4-hour zone that we have. Let's take a look at this area and see if it's a high liquidity candle, if there is a high liquidity zone here or not. Has it taken out anything to the left? Yeah, we have a rally, right? We have 3 basin candles and we have a drop. So that is supply here. And that high there has been taken out by this candle, making this a high liquidity zone, right? And also we have this weekly SR level running right through it. Let's take a look at this area and see if we have a liquidity candle in here. I'm looking for the largest bullish candle, right? In that range, right? Looking left. On the 1 hour, there is nothing except for this candle, which is a 212 pip candle. Let's go to the 30-minute time frame. One 64, 155, 164. Okay, let's start with this. Let's put the numbers on this 1 second. 24, 24, 26, 16, 23. Yeah, they're the same. Let's look at the 15-minute. One 64, 140. Yeah, I would keep this one. This 15-minute candle right here. That's the one. 24, 26, 803. Okay. Yeah, that candle is gone. That liquidity candle price has gone through that. That was here on the 5 minute. Yeah, that was this candle right here. This low is 379. Hmm. There's still something left of that candle. This liquidity candle right here that we had previously. Okay, it's better. All these candles are stacked one on top of the other. There are three liquidity candles here. What's left of that candle, which is this one. So we come through, we can go through all of them right down if there is volume. You can push straight here. 3194 below 3194, 3188, and then even 3171. Okay, all right. Still have about 30 minutes. This is the NY Open. We've got another 30 minutes for news. Okay, right. Those are the zones. Okay, there is this gap that price could push up if you break this liquidity candle high right here. If you break the high above 3295, then we're heading to fill that gap, 300 pips to fill the gap, right? If you break above 3295, if you grab liquidity, then when we start pushing down, if we have volume, we can go right through. If you go through one, then we're going through the other two as well. All depends if there's going to be volume today or not. Okay, I'll be back in a couple of minutes, 2-3 minutes, and then we'll take a look at what price has done in the Asian session, right? Just want to, before I go, I want to just take a look at this area once more. Yeah, that is the only candle there. that range. Yeah. Yeah, that is again 164, and we've come 82. Yeah, we've come 50%, exactly 50%. So there could be liquidity here. So price can tap this and push up. It's very possible. Either tap 3230 and push up, or tap the liquidity candle and push back up, because we haven't crossed the 50% mark of this liquidity candle. So price can come here, tap here, we can form 15-minute support and then push straight up during news. That's very possible. Either at 3230 or the liquidity candle and push up. All right, we'll take a look at what the Asian and London session's done. That will probably give us a little more information. I'll be back in about 2 or 3 minutes. Okay, we're pushing down. Also, make note that the EMAs are flatlining right now, right? There's nothing. This is one big range prices. If you look at the 4-hour, it's very ugly, just moving sideways. All right, let's go to the 15-minute time frame. See where the market opened. The market opened here, 32.38, roughly 32.38 or 32.39, right? That's where the market opened. Let's say 32.39, right? That's the market open. So what happened yesterday? Yesterday we were a little bearish towards the end of the NY trading hours, and we just ranged, right? So nothing much. We're just in a range, right? Range at prices ranging above and below 3230. That's the main key level. That's the liquidity level that price is reacting to. All of NY session yesterday, and then when the Asian session opened. reacting to the Asian high right now. Price reacting to the Asian high. Okay. So Asian session as usual, we had volume, price moved not much, but 275 pips. And in the London session, we moved about 180 pips, right? Rest, we're just ranging. So not a lot of movement, but fairly decent move, like you can say in the Asian session, right? Took price up to that, it carried price, this push up, right? Of 275 pips carried price inside into the Asian range, into the London range. That's what it did, right? So that's still a lot of volume for the for the Asian session. So it's very clear that now almost 2.5 weeks volume has shifted to the Asian session. That's when you have this volume. It could be because of some news coming out towards the end of the New York trading hours that's doing that, right? But there's a clear volume shift that's been going on that's happened about 2.5 weeks ago, and we're still seeing it. All right, so we've got about 20 minutes to CPI. All right, let's take a closer look at what price has done. We ranged, just give me a second. We ranged most of yesterday, NY open, NYC open, and the end of the NY trading hours, we range, right? Above 3230, we push down. This is the market open right here. We push down, grab liquidity from 3230. Let me zoom in a bit. All right, that's the market open right there. That's the market open. Push down, grab liquidity from 3230. Push back up into the EMAs. Created the Asian high. Drop straight into the liquidity candle. Right? This is the liquidity candle. Drop straight into it in the Asian session. Push back up above 3230 because we've grabbed liquidity now. We created the Asian low and closed above 3230, came, retested, went straight up, closed above the Asian high, pushed further. This is the Asian volume. Pushed further. This was above the EMAs. Then we retraced back to 3250 to grab liquidity to continue higher, and it formed 30-minute support right there and pushed up to 3265. Again, that's a weekly SR level, and formed the London high there at 3265, right? And we formed the London low once we came to retest 3250. Ever since then, we've just been ranging between these two, right? This is the range, 179 pips. If you exclude the wicks, the bulk of the move has been about less than 100 pip, let's say 100 pip range. Price has been stuck in 100 pip range if you exclude the wicks, right? Now, we have a 30-minute candle close below that range, right? So this is the bottom of the range. That's the top of the range, 100 pip range, right? This 30-minute candle closed below the range and closed below 3250, right? Pushing back down, rejecting the London high. This is the London high, formed resistance here, formed 30-minute resistance again from that zone, drop base drop, and we're pushing down. We're pushing past the London. If we close below the Asian high, we could come straight down to this liquidity candle, right? That's another 187, 190 pip move down. Price needs to close below the Asian high to come down. It's already made the move to the London low, right? From the London high, we've come to the London low. If we close below now, if a 30-minute candle closes below the Asian high, we're very likely to push to this support here, which is also the liquidity candle. That's about 190, 185, 190 pip push down. Now, we cannot buy here. Even though it's demand, there's a possibility, like I just said, you've got to wait for the candle to close. First, you wait for the 30-minute candle to close. If it closes down here, great. We can look for 5-minute support or 15-minute support to form at the liquidity candle and look for the buy to go up. Because this could be a liquidity grab, price pushing down to grab liquidity to head higher, right? We spoke about this. What's happening? What happened on the 4? Look at this. Very similar to this is this, right? This is a clear 4 bull candle push up. Then there's another clear one here. So this is that. That's the second. And then price retraced after that down. That's what's happening right now. We pushed up to 3265 here. Price pushed up to 3265. And now it's retracing down back to 3230, right? Which is 3230 here and the liquidity candle. And what happened once it came to 3230? It pushed all the way back up to 3265. That could be the move that we get today. A push up from just under 3230 back to 3265. That's a good 350 pip move up. I'd love to take that move. I'd love to be a part of that move, right? But there has to be volume. If there is no volume in NY Open during news, the first 2 hours of the NY session, then that move is going to take a lot longer if it happens. If at all it happens, it's going to take a lot longer. It'll take 4, 5, 6 hours to play out. And I'm not keen on holding trades that long, 5, 6 hours. I like to get in and get out within my trading window, and this is my trading window. The NY Open, 3.5 hours after the NY Open, that's my window. I want to get in and get out inside that. Maybe 30, 40 minutes, an hour later, I might hold it. If I'm in profit, I might hold it if I have closed partial positions, but I want to get in and get out inside my trading window. So that's what we have to wait for, right? No sells. Obviously, absolutely no chance of sells because we are in demand. Sells are from up here, from a liquidity area. So the liquidity areas are 3265, and then closer to the supply zone, right? That's sells. So no sells. For me, sells are out the window. No sells at all right now, unless price pushes back up. We come down, push back up, form 30-minute resistance, and then take a trade to come down, right? Unless that happens, there is no sells for me. I'm interested in buys. I've explained why. Now, 30-minute resistance has formed inside pre and Y hours. That's the most recent resistance. So given what we've seen in the first 2 hours of the NY Open for the last 2.5 weeks, it would be better to wait for a higher time frame support to form. That's the best thing to do. Wait for higher time frame support to form, maybe 30-minute, I think might be the safest, and then look to take a trade. Just go back here a bit to the 1st of May. Yeah, maybe something like this. A candle like this, 30-minute support, a candle like this, 30-minute support, a candle like this or like this, and then look to take the buys to go up, not to trade off the 5-minute chart because we've not had volume. I hope that makes sense. We're dropping, right? I said we need to have the 50-minute candle I think is already closed. Yeah, the 50-minute candle is closed below the Asian low, but that's not enough. We need to see a 30-minute candle close below the Asian low. Why? Because this is a demand zone. That's the reason, right? Because this is a demand zone. If price was in the middle of the zones, of two zones, a 15-minute would be enough to confirm the price is heading down, but we've already tapped the demand zone, right? I hope that makes sense. So you want to see a 30-minute back candle close below the Asian high to know that price is continuing down. Now, there are some traders who would take sells. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not against any of that as long as you're consistently profitable. You can trade the method that suits you the best. I'm a pullback trader. I always wait for the pullback. So for me to take a sell, 30-minute resistance has formed. I want price to pull back up. And I will not take a sell here. I want to sell further up here, further up, because this is too close to demand. I want to sell up here, closer to 3265 to come down. Yeah, that's where I want my sells. 3265 or higher, liquidity candle, or 3289. That's where I want the sells from. This is the middle, to me, this is the middle of the range. That's the range, right? And we're towards the bottom third of the range. So price, I'm anticipating price to push down. If we close, if the 30-minute candle closes, this current 30-minute candle is going to close in 10 minutes, and then the news release, and the next candle would be the news candle. So if this 30-minute candle closes below the Asian high, we should push all the way down, right? And then I would look to take buys to go up. That's the plan. But we have to wait for confirmation. I'm not comfortable waiting for 5-minute confirmation today. Just because any other day I would have done it. But last 2.5 weeks, we've had no volume the first 2 hours of the NY Open. So the 5-minute time frame can be misleading. Any questions? We've got about 9.5 minutes to news. Any questions on anything that I've shared so far? Anything that's unclear on the analysis, on the setup that I gave out yesterday, on the um, anything, on the trade that I took yesterday outside the stream hours? Want more clarity? Do you want more clarity on that? On anything that we've discussed yesterday or today? Feel free to drop a question in the chat, and I'll do my best to answer. Yeah, I'm favoring buys more than sells for very straightforward reasons. We are in demand. We've got 4 hour support forming once, twice, 3 times. Where we're at a level we had a new demand level that was formed in that as a part of that reaction. That's a demand zone, a drop base rally. And that's that zone that we drew yesterday on the daily, right? That's the zone. We're in that zone. So trying to sell inside the zone makes no sense at all to me. Makes no sense. It's a wide, obviously it's a wide zone because it's a daily zone. It's a 480 pip zone, but it makes no sense to sell inside this. I've looked to buy, but we got to wait for confirmation. 6.5 minutes for this candle, for 30-minute candle to close. Let's see. Where could price come down to? Let's take a look at it. Let's be a little more objective about this. Tap this candle here. 426. 803. Yeah. Yeah, 3230 would be a good place to buy if there's confirmation. If there's confirmation. Let's see. I'm going to watch the 5-minute time frame, right? Second. Um, okay. Yeah. Again, what is this? Yeah. Because of low volume, even if you do get a trade, make sure you take partial positions at 40, 50 pips, right? Because of the kind of volume we've seen, the kind of volume we've seen in the first 2 hours of the NY Open. So make sure you take 40, 50 pips partial positions at 40, 50 pips, and then let the rest run to your TP levels. Now, if I do get a take a buy around here, yeah, the Asian high would be a TP level. We'll bring this zone down now. We're coming deeper in, so the open is 39.90. Yeah, bring it there. Let's get 30-minute time frame. Yeah, that's better. Yeah, I'd like to see price come down here. This is where I would want to take a buy. This area, around 3230 is where I want to take a buy to push up. Asian high, and then 3250, and then if you continue to push higher, 3265, and then the liquidity candle. That would be a great trade. Okay, this is news. Let's see what happens. We're gonna watch the 5-minute chart. We should push down. 30-minute candle closed below the Asian high. We should continue down. We should continue down. I might take a sell here. Yeah, I'm taking a sell here because 30-minute candle closed below. I'm taking a sell there. Yeah, take some partial positions here. The reason for this is price is coming down. 30-minute candle closed below the Asian low. We should continue down, right? That's the reason for taking this sells at the Asian. Yeah, I've taken it at the Asian high, right? We've closed below the Asian high. We should continue down. Partial positions 3238, and then you can take further down. Take this 5. Yeah, we're coming down. 3236. 3238. I've taken sells for price to come down. 3238, 3236, and then 3231 if there is volume. Yeah, pushing down. I said I'm waiting for the 30-minute candle. 30-minute candle closed below the Asian high, so we should be coming down to 3230 or even further down. But this is a good area to get out at, right? Still, I'm favoring buys, but this is where price should be heading to. We've grabbed liquidity from the London low again. We tapped it, grabbed liquidity, should be pushing down. So that's a 55, 56 pip move down there. And then if you come further down, that's about a 90 pip move. And if you come here, that's about a 140 pip move. Not bad. Yeah, we're coming down. 3238, almost, almost. Let's push back up all the way. Now, how I'm going to manage risk on this trade is here. That's where I'm managing risk. Yeah, about 50, 60 pips. 3251, right? We have support there. Price stayed above it. So if we close above, if you break the high, then I will close. If you break 3251, I'll close partial positions. If the 15-minute candle closes above it, I close everything. Okay? That's how we're going to manage risk. Make sense? Anticipating price to push down. This could be a retracement before we continue down. This candle has no top wick. We could push further up and then come down. The whole idea behind this trade is price is very likely heading down. The 30-minute candle closed below the Asian high, right? And could be pushing down to grab liquidity. Now, keep in mind there is no volume, right? We've not seen volume. So this could take a while, or price can always go against us. And that is why I'm not going to hold the trade indefinitely. This is where I cut my losses, 3251. I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, ask me. I'll explain more. I'll explain again why I took the sells. 30-minute resistance is formed. Yeah, 1430. This one, did it break the high? 865. 864. Yes, it took out the high. 865. 864. Yeah, so this would be the fib. Yeah. Anticipating price to come down. 5865, 5864, and this one broke this side, this one broke this side. 865396. 6. Yeah, should be coming down now. We create that's a bearish engulfing candle. We should be pushing down to 3238. Let's see. We need a big 5-minute back candle. Once you have that, we're coming down. I hope you took the trade. If you're on the streams, I hope you took the trade. Take the trade with confidence always, because you got to know where you're going to manage risk, right? So take it with confidence and know where you're going to manage risk. If depending on where you got in, if you got in here or here, then that's about a 70 pip risk. If you got in further up, that's about a 55 pip risk, right? 32.51 is where we're going to manage risk. 5-minute, waiting for the 5-minute candles close. If the 5-minute candle closes strong bearish, then we may pull back to this area, to the Asian high, and then continue down. Still no volume. CPI, no volume. Volume could come in later on, like we've seen, could happen around after the 4-hour candle closes. The 4-hour candle has, I think, about an hour and a half to close. Yeah, 1 hour, 20 minutes to close. So could be after that. Could be after that. Where we have a pullback, the candle closes, and then the next one starts to push up. Like exactly like it did here. A push down, and the next one, the candle closes, and the next one starts to push up, right? Okay, candles closest bearish, strong bearish, rejected the area, might come up to create a top wick, and then push down. Let's see if we come back up here. It needs a top wick. Mm. They're pushing up. See, this candle has no top wick, so we could come up here and then close, and then depends. Let's see what happens. I'm going to manage risk here. 3251. That's why I'm going to manage risk. If price breaks 3251, if we tap 3251, I'm going to close partial positions. If the 15-minute candle closes above it, I'm closing everything. What needs to happen is a 5-minute bear candle needs to close back below 3243, right? Or a 15-minute candle, better yet, a 15-minute candle closes back below 3243. Because 3251 and 3243 are minor 15-minute support resistance levels, right? You can see, look to the left, 15-minute support, and if you look here, 15-minute resistance, 3243, 3251. So if you close, if you break the high, if you break 3251, I'm going to close partial positions. If the 15-minute candle closes above it, then price can go deeper, right? Can go deeper in, just like it did here. So then you close everything. If we close below 3243, if a 15-minute candle close below, then you hold the trade because then we're coming down. You can hold it to 3231 or 3230. 50-minute candle has closed back at the London low. We could be pushing up. We're going to break this high. Yeah, we broke the high. We're going to manage risk on this now. 3251, right? 3251 is the area. Still no volume, not much volume. CPI, nothing. Still 10 minutes more for the 15-minute candle to close. It can go back up. It's a lot of time for the 15-minute candle to close. The 15-minute candle needs to close below 3243 for price to continue down. Right? It's very straightforward. See, all of these candles stayed below 3243. If it closes below, then what happened here is what's going to happen. Price is going to come straight down, 130 pips, and you hold some of your positions down to 3230. Right? That's where it's going to come to around 3231. You can see these wicks that I've tapped here. That's why I've kept 3231. But the 15-minute candle has to close below 3243 for that. There's a lot of time for the 15-minute candle to close. Nine minutes more. Let's see what happens. So I've taken cells, explained why I took cells. Um, I should have been maybe a bit more patient and taken the cells up here around that this fib level, 3248.5 or 3249. That would have been better. Less drawdown. Yeah, and a tighter stop loss, just a 20 pip stop loss. If I did that, should have been patient because there is, that's a level. That's a 3248. That is a level. Price hit the 3RR level, hit the 7RR level, coming back up here, grab liquidity, maybe trying to push down. That would have been a better area to get in at. Yeah, it's already pushed 60 pips from there. I should be in a bit more patient. Yeah, it came exactly here. Just gotta wait. Gotta wait for this 15-minute candle to close. They've closed bullish. Previous one has closed bullish. Let's see if this 15-minute candle can close bearish now. If it closes bearish, then the 30-minute candle also could either close a doji or could close bearish. But the 15-minute candle needs to close bearish for the trade to continue down. Has to close below 3243. If it closes, yeah, it should close below 3243, ideally, to push down. It needs to. Has to close below 3243. There's a lot of time, though, for the candle to close. And then the 1-hour candle also will likely close bearish with a wick to fill. And the next one would probably pull back up here again and then push down. 6 minutes, 6.5 minutes. Just have to wait patiently. If we close above, that means we're very likely pushing higher. Then we can manage risk. We might not, we don't need to even possibly wait up here. We could manage risk. Because if the 30-minute candle closes bullish and then closes above 3243, that means the next one is very likely to break, to push down, create a bottom wick and break the high. So then we can manage risk right here, right? We can save another 20 pips easily. And we can then get out at around 40 pips. See, that's how you manage risk. You read price action and you follow the same rules every day to manage risk. So we're going to wait for this 15-minute candle to close. That will be the close of the 30-minute candle and also the 1-hour candle. If the candle, it's very straightforward. Candle closes bullish above 3243, This is the new level to manage risk at, this high, 48.93, right? If price breaks that high, close partial positions. You don't have to wait for 3251 anymore. Close partial positions, and then if price breaks this high, close even more, and then if the 50-minute candle closes above that, close everything. So you'll have almost nothing left to close at that point. There's clearly no volume. This was the concern. There'll be no volume in for CPI, the first 2 hours of the NY Open. This could be the same thing could happen for retail sales as well on Thursday. No volume in the first 2 hours of the NY Open. Four minutes for the candle to close. Yeah, 30-minute is likely closing above. Let's see. Still have another 2.5 minutes. If it closes at, it's same as closing above. So then that's where I'm going to manage risk at. The high of this candle. I'll close probably half of my positions there. So that'll be about a 40, 50, 50 pip. And then the rest at this high. We should technically come down. It's just there's no volume. That's all it is. There's no volume. We should have closed below the Asian. We spoke about this move. We spoke about it right at the beginning of before the NY Open, or at the NY Open, I think. If we close below the Asian high, we should be continuing down to this support area right here. It's just there's no volume to get there. It's struggling. Let's see how this 50-minute candle closes. A minute more. Yeah, could be closing a doji. Yeah, very likely closing a doji. 30 seconds more. If it closes a doji, then we're going to keep the risk as is. I'm not, maybe I'll close like, yeah, I'll still close a position here. I'll still close a couple of positions here. Yeah. Yeah, we're closing bullish, but we're closing under 3243, which is a good sign. We could be continuing, we could head down. Yeah. We closed under 3243 and we closed a weak bull candle. But if price pushes all the way up here, let me put a price level there, 48.93, I will close something. Not all of it, I'll close something. You always have to manage risk. Always, no matter what you do. You want to stay consistently profitable in this game, you've got to find a way to logically manage risk. Um, Something that you can follow every day with all your trades. No matter what session you trade, no matter what style you trade, you've got to find a way to manage risk so that you keep your losses smaller. So now I've, I'm saving 20 pips, right? I'm saving just over 20 pips. If you break this high, I'm going to close partials, even though we've closed below 3243. Yeah, we're struggling to push down. If the candle had closed bearish, I wouldn't have been too worried about this bull candle wick, the high. But we closed bullish. So we could push all the way back up again, all the way up here. And there's no need to hold drawdown. When you know that that's a possibility, the price can push all the way back up to this zone. This is a rally. These are all basin candles, and that's a drop. Price can push all the way up there. There's no need to hold drawdown. That is why I've got 3248.93 marked there. When we come there, I'm going to close partials. Oh, man. Yeah, CPI did nothing. We had nothing, nothing too drastic. Very almost as expected. Expected 0. Core CPI expected 0.3, got 0.2. Not a huge difference. That's the main thing that you want to look for, the core CPI. So really nothing, nothing. It's exactly as expected. I would still be interested in those buys later on, right? Wait for the 4-hour candle to close, and then the buy idea from down somewhere here, either at 3230 or even the liquidity candle. Pushing back up. Pushing up again. It's got to wait for the 15-minute candle to close, see whether it's going to respect this high or not. If it respects the high, then it's very likely the next one will break the low and continue down. If this high breaks the high, that means we're heading up much higher. That's why you got to manage risk here. 32.4893. Yeah, so I'm going to be here for another 10 minutes, maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Um, it's been like this for 2.5 weeks now. It's no volume. So we've just been ranging during the first 2 hours of the NY Open, and then later on, there's been a setup towards the London close. Yeah, if the 15-minute candle closes bullish, then we're going to push up. We're going to break the high and push further up. If it closes back bullish, if it closes bullish back above 3243. This one closed above, this one closed back below, this one closes above, then the next one is going to break the high and continue higher. You got to wait. But here's where I'm going to manage risk, 32.4893. Yeah, we're pushing up now. Yeah, okay. 20 pips. Going to manage risk here. I'm going to close 50% of my positions. 50%. 48.93. You got to close something. Don't close all of it. Don't close all of it. But 50% is a good percentage to close when you're managing risk at a logical level, not anywhere, right? At a logical level. So the risk management that I use here on the streams is 15-minute support resistance or 30-minute support resistance. So basically, I'm looking for lower time frame support or resistance levels, right? Key areas where prices either stayed above or stayed below. Okay, so I showed exactly why 3248. Now 3251 is because there was support here, but then 3248.93 is where these wicks have tapped. You can see these wicks have tapped and this wick tapped again. So if we break the high, then we're going to 3251. So why hold another 20 pips in drawdown when you know it's very likely if you break this high, this 15-minute high, we're going to the 15-minute support level, which is 3251, right? That's the reason. That's the reason. You close something at 3248.93. And then if you break 32, if you go above 3251, then you can close even more. You close another 50% of what's left. Yeah, 4 minutes more for the candle to close. It's nothing, no volume, just moving sideways. We're just going sideways. 1 hour candle, no bottom wick. There's a long time for the 1 hour candle to close. We could push back, we could push all the way up and then come down. It's a long time. Almost 50 minutes for the 1 hour candle to close. So we don't need to worry about the 1 hour time frame. What we need to look at is the 15-minute time frame and the 30-minute time frame right now. So the 15-minute time frame closes bullish. It's very likely that the next candle is going to break the high, because if you close above 32.43, that's an important level. That's a resistance level, 32.43. So if the 15-minute candle closes above 32.43 again, this closed once. If it closes a second time, then it's very likely that the next candle is going to break the high, right? Makes sense? It's going to break the high. And we're going to head to 32.48.93. It needs to stay below. If it's to go down, just like this candle stayed below 32.43, this one too has to stay below for price to continue down. Two minutes more for the candle to close. Yeah, we're closing above. Closing above. We're rejecting this area. Pushing up, I think. Seems like that. Hard to say. When there is no volume, it's really hard to. It's hard to read candles when there is no volume. In situations like this, it's tough. You got sideway movement. No one's making money in the market. Yeah, we're closing above. We're closing above. So, here's what I'm going to do. High 691. Yeah. If price breaks this high, I'm going to close. So now, look what I've done. 40 pips, over 40 pips, I'm saving. If price breaks the high, and the reason for that is, if the candle closes above 332.43, which is going to close in 10 seconds, if it closes above, that means the candle is closing bullish, and very likely that the next candle is going to break the high. What happens if the next candle breaks the high? If it breaks the high, it'll go back, it'll go up and break this high. If it breaks this high, what's likely to happen? Price could go up right up to 32.51, right? So we've closed above. We've closed the 15-minute candle has closed back above 32.43. This one closed above, this one closed below, this one closed back above 32.43. So if price pushes up and breaks the high here, I'm going to close something. Something, maybe 25%, maybe 30%, maybe 20%. Just close something. If you break this high, close another 25, 30%, right? That's how you manage risk. Get used to that. Not just at every high, but where it logically makes sense based off on price action, right? Partial TP level is at 32.38 if you get there, but now I'm managing risk here. So now you see how less, now the risk is 30 pips, 35 pips instead of 75 pips coming down. Let's see if you can get there. 32.38. I hope what I said made sense in terms of risk management. If it didn't, ask me. 32.38 is partial positions. Let's see if you can get there. Yeah, 32.38, then 32.36 is the next. 32.36. The reason for that is there is a 15-minute level there. Yeah, right here, 15-minute. Let's see if you can get there. That's the reason. This open is 35, yeah, 36. See if you can get there. Still same rules apply, right? Even though I've hit partial positions, I've taken the first TP level. That was, I think, about nearly 60 pips. Yeah, 55 pips was my partial close. Then if you get here, it would be about 78 to 80 pips. But still, these are the levels I'm managing risk at, and I've explained why. And if you get through that, then we're coming down to 32.31. And that is 140 pips if we get there. So the reason I drew these lines were not because they're highs. It's because of this. This is what's important, 32.43, right? I hope that's clear. 32.43 is a 15-minute support resistance level, right? Even on the 30-minute, right? It's very clear. Even on the 1 hour, it's clear, 32.43, right? That's the reason, right? It's not because of prices creating new 15-minute highs. That's not the reason. Because of this. So the first 15-minute candle closed above it, the next one closed below it, the next one closed back above it, right? So it's closed above it. So if price pushes up, begins to push up, it can go and break the high. That is why I'll manage risk at 32.4691. And if it breaks this high, then it'll go very possibly break this high, 32.4893. That's why I'll manage risk again there at 32.4893. We're still trying to push up. There is no volume. Okay, maybe be here for 5 minutes more, and then we'll end the stream. Again, any questions on on the trade I've taken today, on the setup idea that I've given out for later on. The setup idea for later on are buys, not sells. Buys, right? There is no, I'm not giving out a sell idea. I'm not going to be looking for sells. I'm looking for buys. This is the sell. This is the sell idea. If this doesn't work, then that's it. No sell ideas. But buys from down here, from a liquidity level, either 3230 or the liquidity candle, right? And you know what to look for. Wait for 30-minute support to form, or tradable 30-minute bull candle to close. Draw the M15 fib, and then wait for the pullback and take the trade. Yeah, we're pushing back up now. It's just no volume. And for buys, if price comes to the liquidity candle, then the safer stop loss is always under the liquidity candle, which is under this candle. The more aggressive stop loss is under the 30-minute candle low that created support, right? If price doesn't come to the liquidity candle but reacts off 3230, then you have to place your stop loss under the 30-minute candle low that created support, right? And then you find a level, just like I did here. You find a 15-minute support resistance level or a 30-minute support resistance level to manage risk. For those who need a little more explanation on support resistance, on lower time frame support resistance, watch some of my earlier videos right at the beginning. I taught a lot. I think every day I extensively taught how to draw support resistance levels. I would draw, I think, about 5 or 6 a day. Gray boxes. You go watch the maybe the first 5 videos or the first probably 10 videos. Um, you'll see gray boxes that I've drawn. And I explained exactly why that's a support resistance level. I think I would draw about 5 or 6 a day. 5 or 6 support levels, 5 or 6 resistance levels. So that's a lot of information there. If you want to see how to draw them correctly, right? The reason behind having those levels, how to draw them, right at the beginning. That's when I taught support resistance. It's not a difficult concept at all. It's a pretty straightforward concept. Support resistance, unlike supply demand, which is a lot more complicated. Not complicated, a bit more complex. But with practice, it becomes very straightforward. Yeah, there's nothing happening. We are still trying to push up. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to end the stream now. Again, I've given out an idea for a setup for towards the London close, right? So after 10:30 a.m., wait for the 4-hour candle to close. Don't do anything until the 4-hour candle closes. 4-hour candle is going to close in about 35 minutes. Yeah, 35 minutes, the 4-hour candle is going to close. So don't take any trades. If you are in these cells, great, you know where to manage risk, but don't take any more trades until the 4-hour candle closes. Do not take any more trades. If you're in cells now, fine. I've shown on the chart on screen exactly where I'm managing risk at. but don't take any more sells or buys until the 4-hour candle closes, and that'll close in 35 minutes, right? So wait for the 4-hour candle to close. There might be a setup post NYST, so maybe around after 10:30 a.m. EST, right? Around, so that is a good hour for a little more than an hour. So wait for that. Yeah, we're pushing back up. We're pushing back up. Once you break the high, I'm going to close partial positions. There we go. We're coming up. Yeah, right here, 32.46.91. I'll close 50% of what's left because I did take partial positions here. So of what's left, I'll close 50% once we touch 32.46.91. And then when we touch 32.48.93, I'll close another 50%, or I might even close everything. So then the risk becomes almost nothing. The trade becomes a break-even trade. That's what it becomes because I've closed partial positions in profit, and now I'm closing at around 20, 25, 30 pips. What's this? Yeah, 30 pips. I'm closing, and I took 55 pips, 56 pips, and I'm closing partial positions at 30 pips. If we get to 32.46.91. I'll wait for the candle to close. 3 minutes more. The 50-minute candle is trying to close back above the 32.43. See, once it closes above 32.43, if it closes like this, then that's prices come down and it's a big push up. Then you don't need to even wait for this. You can close here. 50-60% of your position close at the 50-minute candle if the candle closes like this. That's what I'm going to do. Let's wait another 2 minutes for the candle to close. Let's see where it closes. Yeah, if the candle closes bullish, 5-minute candle closes bullish like this, that means the 15-minute candle is closing strong bullish. So you can close, either you can close everything, in fact. Once you have a big bull candle like this closing against you, that is also the close of the 30-minute candle. That too is closing a strong bull candle. Close everything. Doesn't make sense to hold. At the high, you close everything. I hope that's clear. Yeah, we're coming up. Once you break this high, the candle should close as well. We can close everything. 1 minute. So this one closed above 32.43. This one closed back below. This one closed above. And now this one is going to close above. Soon as this one closes above, that means the next one is going to break the high, continue higher, right? You just close everything. So in 30 seconds, soon as this candle closes, just close. You don't need to wait for the high to be broken. Just close. 10 seconds. Yeah, just wait for the candle to close. It should close Yeah, I'm gonna close one position. I closed one of them. One of them in profit. Here I closed. So I've closed another 25% basically. Out of my four positions, I closed one. That's another 25%. And once you break this high, then I'll close everything. This high now, 46.42. Right? Does that make sense? Because the 15-minute candle has closed above, and this one is grabbed, has created a bottom wick to come and break the high. So if I close everything here, now my risk is what, 25 pips? That's it. Yeah, there we go. Once we come up, I close everything. All right, that's the end of the stream. Yeah. Once we break 246.42, close everything. There's no need to hold. All right, so I'll be back tomorrow, 7:30 a.m. EST. We've taken a trade today, took sells, but there's just no volume in the market for price to move. We got partial TPs, but price is just pushed back up and it's just ranging. It's doing nothing. I've given out a buy idea for later on, post 10:30 a.m. EST. Let's see if that works out. We're going to come back tomorrow and take a look at it and see if that trade worked out or not. All right. I'll be back tomorrow, 7:30 a.m. EST, and we'll do our analysis, our prep work, and see if there is a trade for the first 2 hours of the NY Open. All right. Take care. Don't overtrade. Don't over risk. I've given the risk management levels on this trade. I've explained things as clearly as I can. And I've explained also why these levels are there. They're not just M15 highs, right? There's a reason for it. This is the reason, 32.43. Okay. All right. See you tomorrow, 7:30 a.m. EST. Take care.